I turned 20! I'm a real adult now. Or something. But who wants to talk about that? Here are entertaining things that I did as a child. As a child, I played a lot of role-playing Harry Potter games with my cousins and my friends, and we liked to play this game where Voldemort had a daughter who was evil, and we were fighting her, and that daughter's name was Voldemortina. When I was little, there was this website me and my friend wanted to play on, and it was called like coloring.com or something, and you just colored in pictures. And before you could go to the website, it said, you must be able to accept cookies. And we had no idea what that meant, so we laughed and went up to my mom and we said, offer us cookies, we need to be able to accept them. I would take all of my stuffed animals and Beanie Babies and put them in this corner of my room over here, which became a village in the style of the villages from the Warrior Cats book series. And I would live out every day of the life in that village, and they would go hunting, and there were little beads that represented different food items that they hunted, and it was very intricate. When I was little, we first got my cat when I was 3 years old, and we brought her home in a box, and she lived with us, and I was obsessed with the cat. And she was not obsessed with me, and so for the vast majority of my childhood, my legs were completely scratched up from my little kitty. When I was little and my mom read Harry Potter out loud to my brothers and me, we had to refer to Voldemort as you-know-who. We could never say his name. When I was little, I was really into Neopets for a time, and I remember waiting until I turned 13 because you weren't allowed to have NeoChat, the instant messaging system on the website, until you were 13, and it never crossed my mind to lie about my age on the website. When I was little, the name for my friend group around 5th and 6th grade was the Idiots Anonymous of America. We were so dedicated to it that we created a really poor website for it. When I was little, I kept my baby blanket for a very long time, and it was awesome, and I so creatively named it Soft Blankie. When I was little and heard the Rugrats theme song playing from the TV room across from my room, I would run into the room and make whoever was flicking through the channels stop and watch Rugrats with me. When I was little, I remember sitting down for the night and reading Green Eggs and Ham and thinking, oh, this is such a long book, this will take the entire night to read. When I was little and we were learning how to use quotation marks in school, I was reading a lot of British books at the time, and in case you've noticed, books that are published in the British way use one quote instead of two for when a character is speaking. I just wanted to be British, so I did that, like, on all my homework. And I was completely aware of what I was doing. I knew it was wrong according to what the teacher was saying, and then I got in trouble, and they kept telling me to do it the other way. When I was little and I was reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Ginny was my favorite character, and I realized Ginny doesn't have a lot of character traits in the earlier books, but she was my favorite character. And I was so concerned she was going to die, and it's the only time I ever remember peeking ahead to the end of a book to find out what happens, because I needed to know that she lived. When I was little and it turned the year 2000, I was 7, and my brother and I built a spaceship out of cushions in our basement so that we could escape the world as it ended. My 7-year-old self didn't understand that this was only because it was the year 2000, and insisted that we do this in 2001, to which my brother said no. When I was little, I had not seen the movie Mulan, and I listened to the song Be a Man once, and heard the line, Dark Side of the Moon, and I knew there was a Pink Floyd album called Dark Side of the Moon, so I just assumed that that song was from the Pink Floyd album. When I was little, I would go to the library and take out all of the books on pandas in the children's nonfiction section and go home and read all of them. When I was little, I read the entirety of the first 3 books of A Series of Unfortunate Events out loud to my cat. Here's a story that I got wrong for most of my life. I used to tell everyone that when I was little, me and my friends learned Elvish, like from Lord of the Rings, to pass notes to each other in class, but it turns out we didn't learn Elvish. We learned the dwarf language. So, clarification, didn't learn Elvish. Still want to. When I was little, I hated practicing piano so much that I cried when my parents made me do it. When I was little, me and my friends took all of our stuffed animals and created the Tri-Doggy Tournament, which was very similar to the Tri-Wizard Tournament, except with our stuffed dogs. When I was little, my friends and I liked taking those same stuffed dogs to school with us. Yeah, we were really into those dogs. And they would sit on our desk next to us, and we would fill out 2 of the worksheets we were doing, one for us and one for our stuffed dog. I'm gonna keep talking about these Beanie Babies, so I figure you should meet them. This is Sniffer, and this is Fetcher. When I was little, I first learned to sew by creating Halloween costumes for my Beanie Babies. I remember creating a Zelda costume for Fetcher here. My friends and I would also write letters and mail them to each other. Excuse me, our Beanie Babies would also write letters and mail them to each other. When I was little, it blew my mind that my school and my cousin's school were on the same street, even though they were a half hour away from each other. Whoa, the street keeps going! When I was little, we were having a yard sale once, and I remember some friend of my mom's making a comment about how much I cost, because I was playing amongst the things we were selling, and my mom said, oh, she's priceless. But at the time, I didn't know the difference between the word worthless and priceless. When I was little, my cousins and I created a Battle of the Books team for my cousin's library, and we went there and we blew all the other teams out of the water, and we got every single question right, and they had to make up new questions to try to challenge us. When I was little, I created a comic strip named Mr. Potato Man. The entire first comic went like this. We thought that was comedy genius. I then went on to write an entire parody comic of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone with Professor Squirrel and Professor Snake. When I was little, whenever I played Pokemon, I picked all the cute Pokemon instead of the ones that were strong, and so I lost all the time. That's all I got for you right now. Please share some entertaining stories of when you were a child. They may not be as nerdy as mine, but then again they might be, so please share. See ya!